I want to talk about the lasting effects of war and the impact that war leaves behind on individuals, families, communities, and entire social groups and countries. So, my family and I survived the Bosnian genocide, and I want to talk about the Bosnian genocide for a second. So, it was a massacre of over 100,000 Bosnians, and the world just didn't care about whether we lived or died. Um, and there was constant shelling. For people who don't know what shelling means, it means like throwing bombs at you, grenades. My grandmother had a bullet go graze the side of her head, graze, just like that. She was close to, being killed. And my grandfather had basically a situation where he was the only person who could bring me fresh food and like vegetables, like fruit and vegetables. And he ran past snipers every single week to bring me that food. And had he not brought me that food, I would have starved to death. I want to also speak about the 50,000 Bosnian women that were raped. The world just, again, the people just don't care. And I keep repeating people don't care because if I was in school and there was a day where, History Day, or, speak about your life experience or about your family's history, whenever I spoke about the war, people told me to quote unquote, shut up, shut the fuck up. I don't care, bitch. We don't care. You're worthless. Go back to your country. Die, bitch, die. Things of that nature. So I concluded early on in life that it's extremely important in order for me to survive in such an evil world that I should keep my thoughts to myself and just shut down completely. So I didn't see the point of even having a conversation with somebody because I realized that, unless you're telling people what they want to hear, and most of the time they just don't want to hear you at all. Even if they talk about themselves, you're not allowed to speak about yourself. I realized that my words were worthless. Because that's just the way things are. That's the world we love to live in. And I want to talk more about the Bosnian War. So, it was so cold during the winter, people froze to death. Like they were so frozen, they had icicles on their faces, like, when they were found dead on the street or in their apartment or house, which was bombed, right? So snow was coming in, and they just died, and they starved to death. They had no food, no water, no heat, no electricity. Um, they had nothing. They had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Food, water, heat, electricity. Bye bye. Um, the hospitals were bombed so ferociously that it was dangerous to be in a hospital. I'm surprised there were doctors who had the bravery to even like work in a hospital because the Serbian Chetniks wanted everybody dead, Serbian Chetniks were the monsters who decided to bomb Bosnia and, try to destroy the entire country because they wanted a great Serbia. And then Croatians, nationalistic Croatians wanted a great Croatia. So we basically we got surrounded by two countries that hated our guts, Croatia and Serbia. And so they decided, like a pack of wolves, to attack Bosnia and just destroy its people, right? So you realize you don't really have friends. Oh, it's like, oh, hi neighbor. Yeah, But inside of themselves, they're probably thinking about how to, kill you, right? So, other things I would like to add. So, just because you leave a war zone, I should say not leave. It's not like we're going to the Hamptons in New York or something. Just because you escape a war zone does not mean that the war zone escapes you, and it does not mean that you don't have flashbacks. Bosnians went through concentration camps. I had a next door neighbor who survived 3 concentration camps. Nobody cares. It's just, shut the fuck up, bitch kind of attitude, that I find absolutely repulsive. And I found that a lot in America. A severely high level of evil and hatred against immigrants, against war survivors, zero compassion, zero empathy, zero understanding, zero of pretty much anything, And I don't understand why people say, a country is the greatest country in the world. If you have such hatred against immigrants and refugees, you're not the greatest country in the world. You're far from it. You're far from it. Because the experiences of other people can prove that, Because the only difference I've noticed between, a war zone in Bosnia and a war zone in America is in America it's psychological. In Bosnia, they're throwing bombs at you and putting you in concentration camps. So I like raw honesty, and I don't like to sugarcoat anything. So if you don't like what I have to say, you can go fuck yourself, because I'm speaking the truth. And I've been told to shut up for my entire life, and my people have been told to shut up for their entire life while they died of cancer, while they got diabetes, while they had multiple brain surgeries and heart surgeries. So if that doesn't interest you, I don't give a fuck. Is that clear? Is that clear? Yeah. No, really, because I remember just when I was growing up, people would just make fun of Bosnians, They would say, "Oh my God, why do your people complain so much? Because they went through a war zone, you stupid, pathetic, worthless bitch." Is that clear? Is that clear? Yeah. And of course I'm angry. You're not going to tell someone to shut up and then complain about how you broke a nail and complain about your first world problems when you have no idea what suffering is. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to put up with it. And I don't care if you don't care. There's this entire culture of I don't give a fuck that is very prevalent in the United States of America. And it's an attitude of narcissism. It's deeply rooted in individualism, where I don't give a fuck. It has nothing to do with me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. There's a limit on that attitude before, things reach a breaking point where you can't go back, where people will hate you if you keep saying, I don't give a fuck. Do you understand? But there's this entire culture that is formed. I've noticed, I would say, Generation Z, maybe the millennials, babies that were born, I would say, from 1984 onwards, the era of the internet, where they just don't give a fuck. And the issue with that is, if you're only concerned about yourself and you don't care about anybody else, what is the point of speaking with you? You have no place in society. If you're so narcissistic and so self-centered, where you just don't care about other people and you just don't want to listen and you're just shut the fuck up kind of attitude, you deserve to get slapped in the face. I mean, seriously, you're gonna drive people up to the point where you're gonna be barred from society completely. You impotent bitch. You see what I mean? It makes me angry. On behalf of all war survivors and genocide survivors, I would like to say people have the right to their voice. Okay? And if you're going to slam them down and continue putting them in a situation where they are voiceless, where they are choiceless, where their experience has no meaning or value, then you can rot in hell, bitch. Okay, cool. I'm not trying to be kind with this. I'm just sick of it. This is a very serious problem, and it needs to be resolved.